Welcome to the Madison Order Podcast. Today is Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. Today I'm going to recap last night's college football playoff national championship game. Then we'll recap college basketball, NBA, and NHL. Look ahead to the games today. We have soccer, portfolio, news and notes, and best bet. We'll start with the Natty from last night. It was a close game until the end as Michigan pulls away by a score of 34-13 to win the 2023 College Football Playoff National Championship. Michigan season 15-0. Washington finishes 14-1. Jim Harbaugh finally gets it done. It's fair to say that his tenure at Michigan was a slam dunk success. He finally gets the cherry on top. And now the question for Jim is, does he stay with Michigan, try to win another one, and go for a repeat? Or does he go to the NFL and pursue the Bears or the Raiders or some of these other open or possible open jobs? And then the funny thing with this is that Washington and Michigan are both going to be in the same conference next season. They're both in the Big Ten. They're going to be playing each other. So that's kind of ironic that this matchup happened here, because it'll be happening a lot down the road. So first quarter, very early in, Donovan Edwards, 41-yard run, 7-0 Michigan. Then Grady Gross, 23-yard field goal, makes it 7-3. Donovan Edwards, 46-yard run, makes it 14-3. So Donovan Edwards looks like the guy from last season, and he really didn't get going until this game. Second quarter, James Turner, 31-yard field goal, 17-3. And then Washington gets a touchdown. Penix to Jalen McMillan, 3 yards, makes it 17-10. And then third quarter, James Turner field goal makes it 20-10. Grady Gross field goal makes it 20-13. And then Michigan pulls away in the fourth quarter. Blake Corum, 12-yard run, makes it 27-13. And then Blake Corum with a 1-yard run makes it 34-13 as Michigan wins their first national championship since 1997. So that drought is over. So what's next for each team? We talked about Michigan a little bit. Now we wait on Harbaugh. Does he come back? Will Blake Corum be back? I mean, will anybody be back? Don't forget there's a thing called the transfer portal where you could transfer at any time. But they have a good team. J.J. McCarthy, good game manager quarterback. Not a sexy quarterback like Penix or a quarterback that puts up the big stats like Penix or Bo Nix or somebody like that. But very serviceable for Michigan. Kind of reminded me of I think the quarterback was Blake Sims. He was Alabama's quarterback one of the years that they won the title with Derrick Henry. So, yeah. J.J. McCarthy, really, really serviceable for Michigan. And then they ran plays with the backup quarterback in the game, too, which was pretty interesting. And then the defense guys, we'll see who stays and who goes. Washington, you're going to lose Penix. You're going to lose Daubs. McMillan, we'll see. And we'll see who replaces Penix. So if any team's going to take a step back, it's probably going to be Washington because of the move to the Big Ten and no Penix. And Michigan can, in theory, take a step back, too. I mean, they could lose Jim Harbaugh. They could lose Blake Corum. So Michigan could, in theory, take a step back, too. But I think Washington's more likely to take a step back. They won't be as bad as TCU was this season. But I won't be shocked if the Huskies take a step back without Michael Penix. And Michigan, I think, is more likely to make it back to the college football playoff next year with no question than Washington. All right. Now I'll move on to college basketball. We will go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to a much more interesting slate for tonight. New Orleans over A&M Commerce 88-85, Monmouth over Northeastern 81-62, Howard over SC State 82-78, Delaware over Morgan State 78-66. I should say Delaware State. Southern over Prairie View 79-58, NC Central over Norfolk State 60-58, Coppin State over Maryland Eastern 58-55 at OT, McNeese over Northwestern State 68-59, Lamar over Incarnate Word 75-59, A&M Corpus Christi over Houston Christian 81-59, Texas Southern over Grambling 54-52, Alabama State over Arkansas Pine Bluff 83-72, and Alabama A&M over Mississippi Valley State 78-70. All right. Tonight's window, 6 o'clock. You have Columbia Cornell. My line is Cornell by 6, total 154 and 3/20. And it is 11.5 and 164.5. That is way too high of a number and the total. I'm taking the under. Fox Sports 1630, Seton Hall, Georgetown. My line is Seton Hall by 3/10, total 143 and a fifth, and it is 6.5 and 141.5. I'm taking Georgetown the points. This is a really, really scary spot for Seton Hall. Georgetown's due for that signature win with Ed Cooley, so I'm taking Georgetown plus the points. If I was not in the state where Seton Hall resides in, I think I'd be all over Georgetown. Number 3 Houston, or I should say number 2 Houston against Iowa State. My line is Houston 2.5, total 135 and 3/5. And we have 2.5 and 103.5. Vegas knows, baby. Over. ESPN Missouri at number 6 Kentucky. And by the way, Houston, Iowa State's ESPN too. So Kentucky's game, of course, is on ESPN. My line's Kentucky 9 and 5/8, total 156 and 3/10. And it's 12.5 and 159.5. This is a hard one, but I am going to take the under. Number 25, Texas at Cincinnati. My line here is Texas 1.5, total 145 and 3/20. And it's Cincinnati by 5.5, total 145.5. Woo! I'm going to take Texas in the points. Let down for Cincinnati after the big win over BYU. Next up, Wake, Florida State on the ACC Network. My line is Wake by 3/10, total 150 and 17/20. And it's 3.5 and 150.5. I'm going to take Florida State in the points. Kansas State, West Virginia. My line's Kansas State 3.5, total 141 and 3/20. And it's 1.5 and 141.5. Whoa. That's about as trap as a trap line. Like, what has West Virginia done to be almost favored in this game? You're kidding me. I'm laying it with Kansas State. I hate laying it with road favorites when I'm doing it here. On Peacock, Indiana Rutgers. My line is Indiana 1.9, total 140 and 19/20. And it's Rutgers 3.5, total 140.5. I'm going to take Indiana plus the 3.5. And whatever the money line is, probably like plus 130 or something like that. SEC Network, South Carolina, Alabama. Mine's Bama by 4, total 152 3/4. And it's 11.5 and 153.5. I'm taking South Carolina in the points. That is way too many points for South Carolina to be getting. And they have 1 or 2 losses all year. 1 loss all year. Next up is Rhode Island, Davidson. My line for this one is Davidson 7.5, total 139 and 17/20. And it is 5.5 and 142.5. I'm going to take the under. VCU, George Mason. My line's George Mason by 5, total 142 3/10. And it is 3.5 and 139.5. Slate over. Or no, an actual over. Actual over. Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan. My line is Eastern 6.25, total 143. It is 5.5 and 141.5. Slide over. Akron, Ball State. My line is Akron 2.75, total 141 and 17/20. And it's 7.5 and 138.5. I'm taking Ball State in the points. Miami of Ohio, Buffalo. My line is Miami of Ohio 3.5, total 145 and 1/20. And we have 2.5 in favor of Buffalo, total 147.5. I'm taking Miami of Ohio plus the points, plus 114 outright. Ohio, Bowling Green. My line is Bowling Green 3.5, total 147.25. And it's Ohio 1.5, total 151.5. So I'm going to take Bowling Green plus the points and plus 102. ESPNU, Yale, Brown. My line is Yale by 3, total 141 and 13/20. And it's 7.5 and 136.5. Over. All right, 7:30, you have Southeast Louisiana and Nichols. This game was supposed to be yesterday, but it got moved to today. My line is Nichols by 1 and 3/4, so 144.25. And it's 4.5 and 138.5. Over. Next up, 8 o'clock, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech. My line is Tech 7.5, total 142 and 1/10, and it is 8.5 and 137.5. Over. Richmond, Loyola, Chicago. My line is Loyola 4 and 5/8, so 139 and 1/10. And it's 1.5 and 139.5. I'm going to lay to 1.5 with Loyola, Chicago. All right. 8:30. I'm sorry, 9 o'clock on Peacock. Number 1, Purdue, Nebraska. My line is Purdue by 2 and 1/5, total 149. And it is 7.5 and 150.5. I'm going to take Nebraska getting the points. That's way too many points. All right, number 11, Duke against Pitt. My line is Duke 1.25, so 146 and 11/20. And it's 5.5 and 146.5. I'm going to take Pitt in the points. Number 18, BYU against number 14, Baylor. Great game in the Big 12. It's Baylor by 7, total 153 and 3/5. And it is 2.5 and 154.5. I'm laying that with Baylor. Number 17, Colorado State at Boise State. My line is Colorado State by a quarter, so 145 and a fifth, and it is 1.5 and 145.5. That's very close. It's a quarter and a third of edges. The slightest under ever. ESPN2, Texas A&M, and number 16, Auburn. So Auburn jumps from 25 to 16. Mine's Auburn 5.5, total 145 and 3/4. And it's 7.5 and 149.5. Under. Wyoming at number 20, Utah State. My line is Utah State by 9 and 5/8, total 147 and 7/20, and it is 15.5 and 140.5. That's way too many points. I'm taking Wyoming. And then what's Utah State? A newly ranked team. You go against them against the spread. CBS Sports Network, number 22, Creighton at DePaul. My line is Creighton 7.6, total 144 and 3/20, and it is 15.5 and 141.5. That's way too many points. I'm taking DePaul. ACC Network, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech. My line, Georgia Tech by 5 and 3/5, total 138 and 17/20, and it is 5.5 and 132.5. Over. Vandy, LSU. My line is Vandy as a 6.5 point underdog, total 142 and a fifth. And we have 8.5 and 145.5 under. 10 o'clock, Air Force, Nevada. My line is Nevada 12 and 3/4, total 138 and 17/20. And it is 15.5 and 132.5 over. 10:30 Fox Sports 1, New Mexico, UNLV. My line is New Mexico 4.5, total 146 and 19/20, and it is 2.5 and 150.5 under. And last but not least, 11 o'clock, CBS Sports Network, number 19, San Diego State at San Jose State. My line is San Diego State by 6 and 3/4, so 143 and 13/20, and it's 10.5 and 139.5. That's a hard one, but I'm going to take the over. All right, now move on to the NBA. Yesterday, and then tonight is a much shorter window for the association. Yesterday was short too. Bulls over the Hornets 119, 112 in OT. Pacers over the Celtics 133, 131. Thunder over the Wizards 136, 128. Heat over the Rockets 120, 113. Jazz over the Bucks 132, 116, and the Clippers over the Suns 138, 111. All right, today's game, 7 o'clock. You have the Kings with the Pistons. My line is the Kings by 11 out, total 234 and 9/10. And it's 11 and 240. Under. T-Wolves, Magic. My line's T-Wolves by 6, total 223 and a fifth. And it's 5 and 217. Over. 7:30, Blazers, Knicks. My line is the Knicks by 13 a quarter, total 226 and 3/4. And it's 12 and 227.5. Although that's a close one. Slightly Knicks. 8:30 NBA TV, Grizzlies, Mavs. My line is the Mavs 8.5, total 228 and 11/20. And it's 8.5 and 234.5. So, they place the under. And at 10:30, Raptors, Lakers. My line is the Lakers by 9 total, 229 and 9/20. And it's 4.5 and 235 under. All right, now move on to the NHL. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to tonight's games. Pens over the Flyers 4-1. Canucks over the Rangers 6-3. Stars over the Wild 4-0. And the Avs over the Bruins 4-3 in a shootout. Large window tonight of games. 7 o'clock you have the Kraken against the Sabres. Sabres minus 114. Kraken minus 105. Over under 6.5. Overs plus 104. Unders minus 128. Kraken plus 1.5 is minus 255. Sabres minus 1.5 is plus 205. I'm going to take the Kraken on the road, minus 105. They're just better than the Sabres. Sharks, Leafs. Leafs minus 430. Sharks plus 330. Over under 6.5. Overs plus 106. Unders minus 130. Sharks plus 1.5 is plus 134. Leafs minus 1.5 is minus 162. I like the over at plus money. Kings, Lightning. Kings minus 113. Lightning minus 105. Over under 6.5. Overs plus 104. Unders minus 128. Kings minus 1.5 is plus 202. Lightning plus 1.5 is minus 250. What with the Lightning at home? Minus 105. 7:30 Canucks Islanders. Isles minus 118. Canucks minus 102. Over under 6.5. Over receiving money. Unders minus 122. Canucks plus 1.5 is minus 255. Isles minus 1.5 is plus 205. I'm going with the Isles minus 118. Canucks are going to be on the second of a back-to-back after that big Rangers win. Panthers, Blues at 8. Panthers minus 166, Blues plus 138, over under 6.5. Overs even money, unders minus 122. Panthers minus 1.5 is plus 140, Blues plus 1.5 is minus 170. I like the over at even money. Ducks, Preds. Preds minus 220, Ducks plus 180, over under 6.5. Overs minus 106, unders minus 114. Ducks plus 1.5 is minus 134. Preds minus 1.5 is plus 112. I like the under. Jackets, Jets. Jets minus 230. Jackets plus 188. Over under 6.5. Overs plus 104. Unders minus 128. Columbus plus 1.5 is minus 128. Jets minus 1.5 is plus 106. I'm going to lay it with the Jets puck line. 8:30 ESPN Plus and Hulu. Oilers, Blackhawks. You know this was the game because they thought both Connors were playing, but obviously Bedard's out now. Oilers minus 430, Blackhawks plus 330, over under 6.5. Overs minus 124, unders plus 102. Oilers minus 1.5 is minus 164. Blackhawks plus 1.5 is plus 136. I'm going to go with over 4.5 Oiler goals plus 108. 9 o'clock, Sens, Flames. Flames minus 134, Sens plus 112, over under 6.5. Overs minus 130, unders plus 106. Sens plus 1.5 is minus 210. Flames minus 1.5 is plus 172. I'm going to go with the the Flames in regulation at plus 110. And Bruins, Coyotes. Bruins minus 146, Coyotes plus 122, over under 5.5. Overs minus 128, unders plus 104. Bruins minus 1.5 is plus 168, Coyotes plus 1.5 is minus 205. For this one, I'm going to go with Boston in regulation at plus 105. Okay, now I'll move on to soccer. We'll go over the notable soccer results from yesterday, look ahead to today. I don't think there's going to be a lot with this. But I believe we had some results from yesterday. I guess not. I thought we had results. I guess not. All right. We have 2 games though. Coppa Italia today, quarterfinals. 3:00. You have Fiorentina and Bologna. Should be a good match. Fiorentina plus 115, Bologna plus 250, draw plus 210. I'm going to go with Fiorentina at plus 115. And then Carabao Cup today at 3:00, Borough, Chelsea. Chelsea minus 10, Borough plus 490, draw plus 310. All right, so I'm going under 2.5 goals at plus 120. All right, now we're going to go to the portfolio. I placed a good portfolio pick last week on the Cleveland Browns with them to win the AFC because the number was really good. But there's a number I want to see in the NFL real quick. Oh, I have to jump on this. The Rams are 21-1 to win the NFC. I think they are a threat. I'm actually going to lay I'm debating a 10th of a unit or a 5th of a unit. All right, screw it. It's going to be a 5th. A 5th of a unit, 21-1. Rams to win the NFC. That just has a lot of value. There's veteran power. One of the best coaches in the NFL. And like I said, they have the pedigree. They've been there and done that. When has Jared Goff been there or done that? Never. So they have a shot to win at Detroit. And then depending on what happens in other games, they're probably going to be playing their arch rival, the 49ers, in the next round. And I know Shanahan's owned McVay, but McVay beat Shanahan in the playoffs. And then it would be Dallas, Philly, or the Bucks maybe, but yeah, I think there's a path there for the Rams to get to the Super Bowl. All right, now I'll move on to the news and notes for today. There's a lot, but we will get into it. Michigan, obviously, they're going crazy. And there's clips of Michigan fans singing Mr. Brightside after the Natty win. And there's a press box at the game last night that had Michael Jordan, Derek Jeter, among other big names, and there's Stephen A. Smith was there. John Harbaugh flew in to support Jim after it was reported that he was going to be late because of weather. And there was a roof leaking at NRG Stadium before the game, which was a little weird. Michael Penix had an embrace with Kalen DeBoer after the game, and they left it all out on the field. And then they announced the Hall of Fame class. Among other inductees, Larry Fitzgerald and Julius Peppers. Obviously, we talked about on the show yesterday that Randy Moss and Alex Smith were among the nominees. And then also Julius Peppers. So a good class. And a lot of big names in there too. And then the College Football Playoff Committee received threats as selection committee also got profanity-laced emails and calls about Florida State's snub. And the word snub's going to be in quotes because they were not snubbed. That is the reality of the situation. I'm just sick of the Florida State being snubbed. They would have gotten blown out by Michigan. Bad news for the Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant out for the season as he tore his labrum during practice. That's just devastating for the Grizzlies for him to come back from suspension and the team to play a little better only for him to get hurt. That really stinks. And now Memphis obviously is going to be a seller at the deadline, and they're going to probably be in the lottery in the top 10. Granted, the draft isn't as good as it's been in the past. And Ja tweets after the injury, and he only has played in 9 games this whole season. There's a wild ending to Celtics Pacers as 2 controversial ref reviews and a buzzer beater attempt in the final seconds as Indiana beats them. The Bucks got booed at home because they were down 31 to the Jazz last night. There's criticism of Giannis that went viral, and the Bucks social media team took notice to it. Draymond Green considered retirement as Green said Adam Silver talked him out of ending NBA career during suspension. Wow. Bad news for the Indiana Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton strained his hamstring against the Celtics. That was not a pretty thing to see. Let's hope he'll be okay. Cade Cunningham avoids major injury as he's only going to miss a few games after avoiding serious left knee injury. That's not that bad. But if I'm them, you sit him like the rest of the year like you did last year to tank. Potentially. But at the same time, he needs to get the reps. And you got to see what you have. The Warriors are open to trading Andrew Wiggins as rival teams anticipate forward to be dealt, carving out a larger role for Jonathan Kuminga. I think there won't be that much interest in Wiggins, but I could be wrong. Now we're going to do rapid fire. There's a trade in hockey. Yesterday, Cutter Gauthier traded to the Ducks for Jamie Drysdale, the 2025 second round pick. Crazy trade. I like it a lot for Philly. Getting a young promising D-man in Drysdale, and a second round pick in 25. And we don't even know if Anaheim's going to be any good in 2025. And then Cutter just didn't want to be in Philadelphia. That's the bottom line, but he better produce at Anaheim. Anaheim gave up a lot for him. And then William Nylander gets an 8-year, $92 million extension. 11.5 annual. Largest contract in Toronto's history. So Nylander gets paid. They had to do it. And now he better live up to that contract. The Panthers fired GM Scott Fitterer. That's not surprising. 2-15, and you traded up for the wrong quarterback. The Falcons fire Arthur Smith after 3 seasons. Not surprising. Commanders fire Ron Rivera. 24-40 with 1 playoff appearance. Bob Myers is joining the Commanders with Rick Spielman to help the coaching search, which is crazy. Tiger and Nike parts ways after 27-year partnership. That's surprising. Sad news for soccer on Franz Beckenbauer passes away on Sunday at 78 years old. Thoughts and prayers go out to his family and his former teammates. Rest in peace to him. TJ Watt can play in 2 weeks, as his best case scenario for MCL strain is at least 2 weeks. So they gotta upset the Bills, and then they would play the Ravens again, which would be wild. Jalen Hurts avoids finger fracture as he'll continue to take injury day by day. Former 4-star Mikey Williams enters the portal without playing a game for Memphis. Well, Memphis is doing good right now, so they really didn't need him. Tom Izzo ranted about analytics after the team lost to Northwestern the other night. The new AP poll for college hoops is out. 1-5, Purdue, Houston, Kansas, UConn, Tennessee. 6-10, Kentucky, North Carolina, Arizona, Oklahoma, Illinois. 11-15, Marquette, Duke, Memphis, Baylor, Wisconsin. 16-20, Auburn, Colorado State, BYU, San Diego State, Utah State. 20-25, Clemson, Creighton, Gonzaga, Florida Atlantic, Texas. Others receiving votes: Dayton, Ole Miss, James Madison, Cincinnati, Nevada, Texas Tech, Wake, Grand Canyon, Seton Hall, South Carolina, Miami, St. John's, Iowa State, Colorado, Alabama, NC State, Michigan State, Providence, Oregon, TCU, Northwestern, Utah, Princeton. And then the final AP poll just dropped for college football in Michigan is unanimous number 1. And then 2-5, Washington, Texas, Georgia, Alabama. 6-10, Florida State, Oregon, Missouri, Ole Miss, Ohio State. 11-15, Arizona, LSU, Penn State, Notre Dame, Oklahoma. 16-20, Oklahoma State, Tennessee, Kansas State, Louisville, Clemson. 21-25, North Carolina State, SMU, Kansas, Iowa, and Liberty. So there's the final AP poll, top 25. So Mbappe Madrid move got denied as players at Entourage says the talks haven't taken place. There's no agreement about Kylan's future. Interesting. Miami lands FCS transfer Reese Poffenbarger, who threw 36 touchdowns with Albany this past season. More coaching stuff. Giants fire special teams coordinator Thomas McGaughey out after 6 years. That's not surprising. Their special teams was bad this year. And They also fire offensive line coach Bobby Johnson, which is not surprising after giving up a bunch of sacks this season. And they also lose Wink Martindale as he resigns after 2 seasons. I think he resigned because there was some turmoil with him and Brian Daboll. That was a worst kept secret, and they denied it and they lied about it, and there were clearly issues, and he's moving on and he's going to get head coaching interviews. But honestly, I don't think Wink Martindale should have came back. I'm in the minority here, but you gave up 40 points to Dallas twice, and you gave up 30 to the Eagles on Christmas. And you gave up 30 to the Dolphins. Every good team they faced, they gave up over 30 points with the exception of that last Eagles game. But let's face it, Jalen Hurts got hurt, and the Eagles kind of tanked the game once they saw Washington was up big. Or, I'm sorry, Dallas was up big. And, so yeah, I'm in the minority that they should look for a new DC, but, yeah. Saquon numb to the franchise tag as he addresses the possibility of being franchise tagged again. Well, I think they have to. Saquon can get over it. You're not going to get paid what you want. But if the Giants pay you, it's going to be at their terms. Or else they're trading him. The Giants are the favorites for Imanaga. As MLB.com reports, it's all pointing to Imanaga to sign with the San Francisco Giants. Infielder Kevin Smith announced his deal with the Yankees in a throwback announcement deal. He'll probably be like that random guy that plays every so often. The Jaguars fired their defensive staff as they move on from Mike Caldwell, among other staff members. That's not surprising. The Jaguars' defense was an atrocity this season. The Raiders' head coaching job is a 2-horse race, according to Bleacher Report's Jordan Schultz. It's down to interim coach Antonio Pierce and Michigan national champion winning coach Jim Harbaugh. The Falcons are eyeing Bill Belichick as Atlanta, a team to watch if Belichick becomes available. Belichick and Robert Kraft met on Monday as they likely to meet again to discuss whether Bill will be a part of the future of the franchise. The Chargers interview list. 49ers defensive coordinator Steve Wilks. Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken. Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson and defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. And how about this? Garrett Wilson wears 17 on the Jets. He switched to number 5. What does that tell you? Who else wears number 17? Devontae Adams. And then Devontae liked the post that Garrett Wilson posted. You just know Devontae will probably be wearing green and white in September with his former teammate and quarterback Aaron Rodgers. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. It's easy. I'm going to college basketball. Laying a 1/10 of a unit on it. The pick is going to be South Carolina getting all those points out at Alabama. Alabama's not as good as they used to be. And they're getting treated like their last year's team, which they're not. And South Carolina's a better team than given credit for. 11.5's the number. I'm laying the number. Or I'm taking the points, with South Carolina plus 11.5, minus 110 against Alabama for my best bet of the day. So that's it for the show. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything. We'll get to everything tomorrow. I really hope I get to the NHL New Year's resolutions for tomorrow's show as well. And hope you guys have a great day, everyone.